Hi, my name is Frank Russo. I'm the director of the buyer's agency Search, Find, Invest. The following is a list of questions I've been asked from prospective property buyers coming from overseas about the Sydney property market. I hope this information is useful to you also. Please note the following is general information only. For specific advice for your situation, please contact us directly. So first question, how do your buyer's agent services work? So we assist home buyers and investors buying property in the Sydney metropolitan area. In Australia, selling agents are engaged by property owners to represent them in the selling process, and the selling agent is paid a commission when they sell the property. So our company, Search, Find, Invest, is a buyer's agency. We only work with property buyers. So we exclusively represent the buyer, assisting in sourcing, evaluating, appraising, and negotiating the purchase. As we are only representing the buyer, we are paid a fee for service from the buyer. Unlike other countries, for example, the US, where selling agents and buyer's agents share the one fee, in Australia, it is a completely separate arrangement. So we advise in all aspects of the buying process, from initial advice all the way through to securing the best property for our client, and we are there assisting our clients all the way through to handover at the settlement of the purchase. So next question, how does buying in the Sydney property market differ from other cities and countries in the world? Well, Sydney is a competitive property market, and well-located property has a long track record of strong capital growth and is generally in high demand. Because of this, the vast majority of property is sold via a public auction. So auctions can either be held in auction rooms or on site. Auctions are generally very high pressure environments, and they are definitely designed to benefit the sellers. So at an auction, you have a team of selling agents hovering between the buyers, encouraging them to pay more, and there is the auctioneer yelling directly to each and every individual buyer. You're pressured into making a huge financial purchase with literally seconds to make decisions. This is designed to get buyers to make an emotional decision in a highly competitive environment. So when you purchase at auction in Sydney, the purchase is unconditional. If you later find out about an issue with the property, or you realise you got carried away at auction and paid more than fair value, you cannot pull out of the purchase. If you do, you will lose your 10% deposit paid, and you can also be sued for damages by the vendor. That's why it's absolutely critical to do all of your due diligence on each property before you decide to bid for that property. The good news is there are other ways to buy property in Sydney. In fact, 95% of the property we purchase for our clients is negotiated before auction day or purchased before the property even reaches the open market. Buying property before it reaches the public domain is generally referred to as off-market. Okay, next one. How is property generally advertised in Sydney? So, property that is on market can be advertised online through the major real estate portals. The main websites are realestate.com.au and domain.com.au. Real estate agents also advertise property on their own website when it is pre-market, or there are no public listings at all. Selling agents can use their own database of buyers or use trusted buyers agents to introduce their clients to these buying opportunities. This is what often happens before the property then goes to a full auction marketing campaign. So a significant percentage of homes sell before they are sent public. Some of these off-market opportunities can be great buying opportunities where you get to purchase with far less competition. However, they can also be properties that are overpriced or properties riddled with issues that would make them more difficult to sell in an auction style process. Next question. So what are the most desirable areas to live in for new arrivals? Well, new arrivals like to live close to their proximity to where they work and also close to the city centres. So most arrivals in Sydney come here to enjoy the weather and beaches, and Sydney has a wide variety of beautiful beaches and harbour line. So property that has a walkability to many of these locations is most sought after by new arrivals, as well as most of the locals also. So families also look to move to areas with convenient access to the best schools and safe areas with the lowest crime rate. Access to playgrounds and parks, and in family-friendly areas where there are other families of a similar age are also sought after. Younger new arrivals like to live in areas close to the bars and restaurants. However, a lot of the clients generally don't want to live right in the middle of the areas where it is noisier. They prefer to be 1 or 2 streets back from all the action. So, next one. So when you find suitable properties for your clients, how do you work out their true value? Okay. So, as mentioned, most of the desirable property is sold via auction. So when you go and inspect a property, the selling agent will give you a price guide. Here's where things can get confusing. So you see, the price guide is very rarely what you can actually buy the property for, and it's seldom what the owner wants for their property either. So the price guide given is designed to draw you in and inspect the property and show the property as great value. The selling agent's job is not to advise buyers on what the true value for the property is, and their job is to get maximum price for their client, the vendor. So the selling agent's focus is purely to get as many buyers excited about buying the property as possible, and then let competitive bidding and emotion do the rest. So as a quick example, a particular home's fair value may be in the $2.3 to $2.4 million range. A selling agent could give you a price guide of $2 million. The vendor may want $2.6 million. And under competitive bidding at auction, the property eventually sells for 2.7. However, there are some properties where the true value is only $2 million and the selling agent is still quoting a price guide of $2 million. So you obviously don't want to be caught out paying any more than that $2 million. So many buyers go through a long and frustrating journey, learning most of these lessons the hard way. Then often they typically either find more funds to simply outbid their competition or settle for an inferior property. So obviously both of those scenarios are poor outcomes. So as a buyer's agent, it is part of my job to educate our clients on how much properties are actually worth and help them focus on the most suitable properties from the outset. Then we give accurate market appraisals using the most recent comparable sales to show you where the true value sits and guide our clients away from less desirable locations where the price may seem cheap. Remember, all cheap property is cheap for a reason. The true value of a property in Sydney will vary considerably depending on many factors such as location, proximity to the city, proximity to public transport, to beaches or water, good schools, cafes and shopping, even which part of the suburb or even different streets, and values can sometimes vary depending on which side of the street a property is located. So then values can obviously vary depending on the style of the home, the quality of the renovation, the amount of living space, bedrooms, bathrooms, whether the property has parking, the type of parking, the amount of natural light, the outlook or view, how much privacy the property has, the layout or flow, and how noisy or quiet a property is. Then you need to determine if the property has any issues, such as airplane noise, traffic noise, upcoming developments nearby, or building issues, and whether these can be fixed and how much that would potentially cost. Also, what potential the property has to modify and how much value that modification would add to its market value. So all of these aspects are just some of the items we go through when advising our clients. Before we even consider making an offer on a property, remember, in the state of New South Wales, the onus remains on the buyer to do their due diligence. Property is sold as is, and as the buyer, you assume the risk that the home may fail to meet expectations or have defects. So the selling agent is generally keen to hear that you don't like the property after you purchase, as that may be an opportunity to sell it again. So we have access to the most recent comparable sales, and we generally use this method to compare each of the attributes of the property that have recently sold and how they compare to the property we are reviewing. This is how we give our clients an accurate, up-to-date value on each property of interest, so we know what is fair value and to never overpay. So sale prices for most of these recent sales are often not disclosed to the public online, which makes it very difficult for buyers to do their own research. So as a buyer's agent, we keep a very close eye on the market and monitor these sales weekly. Okay, so school zones, how do they work and how does that impact on property values? Okay, so if you're sending your child to a government public school, then you're required to send them to a school in the zone where you actually live. The Board of Education adheres to this quite strictly. If you live outside your preferred school zone, you can still get into your preferred school if there is capacity. However, the most desirable public schools are usually at full capacity, so the only way to ensure you get into your preferred school is to live in the correct applicable zone. So this applies to both primary schools as well as secondary high schools. So if you prefer to send your child to a particular public school, you will need to find a property to live in that school zone. Obviously, the more popular schools attract the most demand for properties in that area, so property values reflect that demand. Often a property could be valued more or less simply by which side of the street, which school zone a property zone is located. If you send your child to a private school, then these zones are not applicable. Okay, what are some of the other costs involved in purchasing? So the largest cost is stamp duty. So there is an online calculator on our website, searchfindinvest.com.au. There are also costs involved in the due diligence, such as reviewing property sales contracts and legal advice, building and pest inspections, strata reports if the property is an apartment or townhouse, valuations. So as the buyer generally needs to complete most of their due diligence prior to bidding or making an offer, then the buying costs can increase significantly if you keep getting outbid at auctions and missing out. You won't get a refund for any of these costs. So it's part of our job to help reduce some of these costs as part of our service. Lastly, what's your background experience and what are some of the ways how you can assist? So I've been working as a buyer's agent in Sydney for the past 10 years, and most of the members of our team have a similar length of experience in buying property in Sydney. Prior to that, I worked in the building industry. In that time, I was involved in buying, renovating, and selling property of my own. So I personally have over 25 years experience in sourcing property for that purpose also. So we can assist our clients in as little or as much of the process as they like. Some clients ask us to evaluate properties they've already found and ask us to negotiate the purchase of these. Some clients simply ask us to attend and bid for a property at auction. The vast majority of our clients ask us to conduct a full detailed search, accessing as many buying opportunities as possible, then going through the whole process of appraising and negotiating the best outcome possible on their purchase. So we're more than happy to have an initial no obligation consult, either on the phone or via Zoom, to get a better understanding of your requirements and see how we might be able to assist you best. Simply make an inquiry on our website, searchfindinvest.com.au, or call us on 1300 132 970 to organise a time. Thank you.